Here's your First Warn Weather Forecast First, sponsored by Anderson Collision Center. Visit driveanderson.com.
It's another chilly day in the state line. Temperatures remaining below that freezing mark for many of us. Now, as we head late into the evening, we are going to see those numbers remain below freezing, but we're not going to drop off too far into the night tonight. That's because we have an increasing cloud cover continuing to thicken up ahead of our next weather system. Now, radar has been showing up a lot of snow that's showing up there on radar, including some spots out to the west. There's still a lot of dry air just a few thousand feet above the surface, so much of that likely not quite reaching the ground just yet. Once we get top-down saturation, though, snow showers will continue to spread across the region, especially once we head closer to midnight tonight. Temperatures only drop down into the mid-20s with that cloud cover in place. I'll let you know how long the snow could last into tomorrow morning and how much more snow we could see coming up in your most trusted forecast a little later.
Right now at 6, dozens of basketball teams from the Midwest competing at the state line to see which state is the strongest. Reaction from players at the Midwest Winter Roundball Tournament. Plus, a new law may help Illinois families with relative child care. The new steps as the KIND Act continues to move forward. And a local store gives back to the community after a successful holiday season. Vintage clothes, records, and more to be shared at Culture Shock.
Live from WTVO 17, this is Eyewitness News at 6.
Good evening, I'm Rianne Weil. Thanks for joining us tonight. Dozens of basketball teams from Wisconsin to Minnesota met at UW Health Sports Factory in Rockford today. It was the Midwest Winter Roundball Tournament. Eyewitness News reporter Blake Dietz was there to learn why this isn't your ordinary tournament.
Sneakers cleaned, shots warmed. Competition is tipping off all day at UW Health Sports Factory. 16-year-old Waukesha, Wisconsin native Liam Murray is hoping to lead his team Swisha to glory.
We're playing this next, and then if we win this one, we move towards the championship.
Murray and his teammates, like a majority of the teams here, are homeschooled.
It's like a homeschool travel team, so it's like a bunch of kids that come together and we just ball out. This gives us an opportunity to just join together.
Homeschooling is on the rise and has exploded since the pandemic. Rockford Fire basketball coach Sergio Ramos homeschools both of his kids and says he's seen the growth firsthand.
You'll see in the girls teams, many of them have introduced girl teams and female teams, and just in the tournaments that we went to, there's definitely not only the amount of teams, homeschooling teams have increased, even the caliber of play.
While homeschooled students don't have the traditional outlet to play high school sports, teams like Swisha and Rockford Fire have stepped up. Murray says it's important to have the same opportunities as public school students.
I love playing tournaments, just being with the team. I guess it helps all of us be stronger together. So yeah, a lot of kids that I've played here have been my friends for years.
It's a reflection of the current culture. There's a lot of people interested in homeschooling. And I think COVID showed us that that you can get an education in a traditional setting, also at home.
In Rockford for your home team, I'm Blake Dietz.
Illinois families may soon be getting new opportunities. This week, the House unanimously passed the KIND Act. It requires the Department of Child and Family Service to look into federal funding opportunities to create a program that will help those families involved with the agency. The bill would create a streamlined certification process for family members to become licensed caregivers. It would also give relatives the financial resources to help them care for the child.
The research tells us that young people do better with relatives. They're on a whole spectrum of levels, whether it's behavioral health, whether it's educational success, whether it's placement stability. And it actually helps a young person move through the system more quickly so that they can close a case with DCFS in a safe manner.
Right now, family members go through the same licensing process as foster parents who aren't related to a child. And if they're not a licensed caregiver, they don't get the same financial reimbursements as someone who is. If this bill becomes a law, that would change. And new reporting suggests demonstrators may have been under surveillance during last summer's Democratic National Convention, but it's not clear who may have been behind it. Wired and the Electronic Frontier Foundation analyzed phone data that suggests a cell site simulator was deployed during protests. The devices intercept communication and metadata from phones within its range.
We don't know for sure if this is the case simply because it's difficult to confirm. What the Electronic Frontier Foundation found is that there was some sort of anomalous cellular behavior from one of the devices that I was carrying on August 18th near Millennium Park.
Illinois law requires law enforcement to get a warrant to deploy cell site simulators. In Chicago today, 1,000 winter coats and suits were donated and given to students and unhoused people in the community. With the winter season upon us, volunteers helped pack vehicles for the gear to be sent to shelters and community organizations. 7th Congressional District Representative Danny Davis organized the event. Davis says the donation came from the Chinatown Chamber of Commerce. Volunteers today say oftentimes a lot of men are in need of winter gear this time of year.
A lot of times we need more for men, and there's not a lot of snowsuits as well. So it's a blessing that we are able to receive from Congressman Davis and the team some snowsuits and actually be able to give men coats that they need as well.
Organizers say they decided to bring the coats to people to keep them from standing out in the cold. We're just about 2 weeks into the new year, and some places are still cleaning up from the holidays. Rockford's record store, Culture Shock, is cleaning up by giving back to the community. The store is thanking customers for the great holiday sales by reducing prices with their New Year's sale. The store is famously known for their vinyl record and vintage clothing. Store owners say doing these sales is a great way to offer the community lower prices and connect with them in a more relaxed environment after the holidays.
It's kind of nice, once you've made it through the holidays, that you can actually kind of calm down a little now and do some record shopping, or just kind of do some little gift shopping, or maybe have a little leftover Christmas money you want to use up. Might as well do it while there's a sale going on. And it's a lot of fun to bring your friends with you and kind of seek out some different CDs or records to listen to.
The sale continues next week, running Tuesday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Coming up next, the death numbers continuing to grow as the California wildfires spread. President Biden asking Congress to take action and more evacuation orders. That's next.
Our winds could be on the rise as we head into early next week as well, although that will be paired with some Arctic chill. I'll let you know how cold we could get, as well as our wind chills coming up in just a few minutes.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team, with Rianne Weil, Drew Collins, and meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
Now to the catastrophic fires in Los Angeles County. 150,000 people still under evacuation orders, and nearly a dozen people are known to have been killed, and an estimated 12,000 structures have burned. President Biden is now calling on Congress. ABC's Jacqueline Lee has the latest from Altadena, California.
As multiple wildfires blaze through Los Angeles, ABC News has learned federal agents will take over the investigation into the cause and origin of the Pacific Palisades fire. Firefighters are in a race against time, trying to take advantage of better weather conditions to get the fires under control before the winds spike again. Continuing to attack the flames from the sky and the ground, as many residents return to find their homes reduced to rubble.
Never in a million years would we think that a fire would come down and completely destroy not just this neighborhood, but half or more of the entire Pacific Palisades. It's devastating.
Teams began grid searches for remains and missing persons in burn zones. Despite the risks, some residents chose to stay behind to try to protect their homes.
We were winning small victories, and it would calm down, and then we had time to regroup and reposition ourselves again, and then, it would kick up again.
An overnight curfew is in effect in burn areas, with the National Guard in place to help secure neighborhoods. Authorities say they arrested nearly 24 suspected looters. Now, California officials raising concerns about price gouging.
Scams, taking advantage of victims and re-victimizing them. It's sick, it's wrong, it's illegal.
Officials warn the threat is far from over. Santa Ana winds will continue to hit the Los Angeles County through Wednesday, keeping the fire danger high. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Altadena, California.
Our parent company, Nexstar Media Group, is helping support victims of these wildfires in Los Angeles, and you can be part of the effort. Nexstar is raising funds with the Red Cross and stations across the country. To donate or find more information, you can scan the QR code right there on your screen. And some new updates on the South Korea plane crash that took place last month. The U.S. National Transportation Safety Board has been investigating the situation and says that both the flight data and the cockpit voice recorders of the plane stopped working for the last 4 minutes before the tragedy occurred. 179 people on board the Boeing 737-800 died when the plane skid off the runway after its landing gear failed, with the jet slamming into a concrete structure and bursting into flames. 2 people on board survived. The crash occurred at an airport in the southwestern region of South Korea. And tax season is just around the corner. The IRS announced the tax filing season will begin on January 27th, with officials saying new tools will be available for taxpayers in an effort to modernize the process. One of them will be Direct File, which automatically imports the taxpayer's information and will be available to taxpayers in 25 states. The federal agency also urged filers to use their online portal to file electronically and select direct deposit to receive a faster refund, as people can use the Where's My Refund tool on their website to check the status of their refund, instead of waiting 4 weeks after filing. Some of that snow melted out there for us today. When we come back, could there be more snow on the way? Plus colder temperatures next week. Meteorologist Jordan Wolf and his full forecast coming up next.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
We didn't really have much in the way of cloud cover earlier today, at least with the early part of the day. Had a lot of sunshine, but that quickly filled back in as we headed through the afternoon and even going into the evening. And that cloud cover ahead of our next weather system that's already producing some light snow showers off to our west. Nothing falling with our Mercy Health Skytrack camera right now in Beloit, Wisconsin. Still a clear picture out there right now, but you see some of those snow showers starting to develop. Now we have a lot of dry air, especially in the lowest few thousand feet of the atmosphere, and so we aren't going to necessarily see a lot of the snow reach the surface immediately. Once we get some of that to moisten up the ground and the air just above it, that will allow for those snow showers to eventually reach closer to the surface. But this is the area of precipitation we're watching as we head here through the evening and overnight tonight. Going to Futurecast now, you see how that actually delays the onset of that precipitation for a few more hours as we get a lot of that drier air that works out and some more moisture that works in. So our initial snow showers reaching the surface may happen closer to 10, 11 o'clock, maybe even midnight for some locations, outside of maybe a few of those flurries. This would be a period where we could see some of that light snow actually accumulate on some of those surfaces as well, especially once we head beyond that midnight hour. Some of these darker colors may indicate a brief period of some steady snow showers before that continues to move off to our east. And then into tomorrow morning, we may still see a few snow flurries lingering around and possibly even transitioning into somewhat of a drizzle toward the afternoon as our temperatures rise just a bit above that freezing mark for the afternoon. But we are left with that cloud cover all the way through the night tonight and even going into tomorrow as well. Our snow totals not really adding up to too much around here. That surface low pressure sitting well to our north, and so therefore the highest totals up that direction, but we could see many spots up to an inch or so of accumulation, roughly between 1/2 of an inch to an inch or so for the majority of us across the state line, for those who see some of those steady snow showers that move through. Anything that falls will continue to stick to those surfaces as we remain below that freezing mark for many of us. 28 now in Rockford and in Rochelle, as well as Dixon. 29 in Sterling, 27 in Sublette and in Poplar Grove. Our weather watcher Terry in northern DeKalb County also reporting 27 degrees. Those numbers not going to drop off all that far here into the evening tonight as we maintain a lot of that cloud cover. You see, I have delayed the onset of that precipitation until closer to 11 o'clock or midnight for at least these steady snow showers. We may see a few flurries reach the ground before we get to that point, but as far as our light snowfall for a more widespread duration of time, likely doesn't arrive until we get after those midnight hours. Snow ending early on tomorrow, but then we have to talk about a breezy and cold end to the day, especially late into the evening, going into the overnight hours, as our next rush of Arctic air will arrive as we get closer to that Monday and Tuesday time frame. So our high temperature Monday, compare that to the 33 on Sunday, 17 that high temperature on Monday, 3 for that overnight low. Tuesday, not much better, 15 degrees the high and 3 the low temperature. But you see some of that milder air start to work a little bit closer as we head toward Wednesday, and that may allow us to at least briefly reach that 20-degree mark on Wednesday with even milder air arriving for that Thursday time frame. Our wind chills, though, going to play a huge factor Monday and into Tuesday, as our wind chill numbers likely will be below that 0-degree mark for a duration of time Monday and into Tuesday. Likely that coldest Monday night into the Tuesday morning window. That cold stretch of air does not last too terribly long, but neither does the warm up to follow. A few days in the mid-30s, but another cool down arriving as we head toward next weekend.
All right, can't wait for that. Thanks, Jordan. Well, Drew's in next with sports. It was the 10th annual Rumble in the Rock over at Rock Valley College. He will have all the highlights for both the collegiate and high school games. And the Fighting Illini had a tough battle with USC. Stay tuned for the final.
Now sports with Drew Collins.
Another day, another head coach interview for the Bears. But today's interview has been with Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. This is important because Ben has been the lead favorite for all the coaching candidates this offseason, and he's familiar with the NFC North. We'll keep an eye out for more information. The 10th annual Rumble in the Rock took place over at Rock Valley College. We saw hoops at the local collegiate level and high school level. Let's take a closer look, starting with the big boys. Let's check out the Golden Eagles hosting MATC. Milwaukee got after it right away. Check out this, the Storm Chasers dunking it down. The freshman Cam Reed up and under, the silky touch, nice basket. 1 + 1 = 2, and number 2 will make it 3. That's Cameron Cobb, by the way. Cameron is a certified bucket. Look at this jumper. This kid can really stroke it. Missed layup. 6'9" Joel Brown snags the board and puts it right back up through 3 defenders. Now Isaiah Green puts this down all the way from Wrigley. That's NBA range. Rock Valley wins it 89-73. Crossing over to Jefferson and the Lady Vikings. Abby Bracious pull up J for the Jayhawks. Guilford ball, they swing it to Bailey Sandine. She drains it. By the way, she's only a freshman. Check out this heat check by Bracious. All the way, swish. They were down by a lot, but Abby was still fighting. Bailey grabs the steal, stops on the dime, and scores. Gaines grabs the board, kicks it out to the freshman, Bailey, and she was on fire. Now speedy ball movement leads to a Shania Gaines 3-ball. The Lady Vikings won 57-23. One of the boys' games just wrapped up with Guilford and Jefferson. Guilford won 58-47. Brandon Chapman scored 16 points. I'll have the highlights of this and the game with East and Auburn tonight at 9 and 10 p.m. USC and Champaign taking on the Illini. Former Xavier University Musketeer Desmond Claude gets the hoop and one. He led the Trojans with 31. Kylan Boswell gets the steal, dumps it off to Gibbs Lahorn, and he ties it up with 8 minutes left. But the Trojans would go on a big run late in the second half. Rashawn Agee brings down the house. And just like that, the number 13 ranked Illini fall in the upset. The final was 82-72. The Ice Hogs will host the Texas Stars at 7. Should be a busy weekend over there at the BMO Center. That's sports. We'll be right back.
Well, Jordan, if it's going to get any more colder, I might cry because it's already too cold for me.
Well, we've really been somewhat mild to end 2024, but in 2025, we've had one day so far that we were above freezing.
Yeah, it's been so cold. They're just 2025, here comes the wind.
I can't take the single digits plus the wind.
Yeah,
combination's too much.
It feels like -10, that's what I say.
Luckily, we haven't been there yet, but the bad news is that it's on the way as we head closer to next week. So, that's always the good news, bad news. Good news, we haven't seen the wind chills back below 0, bad news, it's coming like 3 days from now. We have at least a little bit of snow to talk about here into the evening. The First Warn Interactive Radar from Rockford Glass and More. A lot of that's falling right now, not quite reaching the surface. Still a lot of dry air to work through, but possibly an inch or so of accumulation as we get closer to the early part of tomorrow morning before everything transitions out of the area. Much colder air settling in Sunday night into Monday, and you see those numbers take a big drop on the 7-day forecast. Highs down in the teens, lows in the single digits, and wind chills likely below 0.
Thanks, Jordan, and thank you for joining us. Have a great night.